Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Greg Page Remembers or Tries to. And welcome back, guys. Now, I got partway through these questions from William. So, question number 3 is: do you and the other Wiggles like being silly? Yes, we loved being silly. It was a lot of fun. It's interestingly, I was probably the most serious out of all the Wiggles. I don't know. I don't know why that is, but I just probably was looking at everyone. I mean, it doesn't mean I don't like to have a laugh and have a good time and have fun, but I think just the other guys were just naturally a bit more, I don't know, what's the word? Loose, a bit more free. I don't know what it is, but anyway, that's a personal thing for me. But yeah, we certainly did love being silly, and we had a great time on stage. I mean, that's, there were times we had our differences on stage, and we had issues that we had to resolve. But I got to tell you, we just had a blast being in the Wiggles together. So yes, we did love being silly, and we still do, I'm sure. So I'm going to talk a bit about the Wiggles reunion concerts coming up, because people have been asking about that. Now, which song by the Wiggles is your favourite from an album? Well, I don't really have favourites, but William, you put down here, like, for example, Wahoo Hey, I'm Combing My Hair Today. Now, that's like one of those songs that I'd forgotten about, but man, it is a great song. So I'm glad you've mentioned it there, because it's just jogged my memory. And that album, Toot Toot, on that song and a few other songs, we had the late and great Paul Hester play drums on that. Now, for you guys that might not know, Paul Hester was a member of Crowded House, a band that I absolutely loved. I think Crowded House are just brilliant. I love their songs. I love the way they played live, and Neil Finn's voice. For somebody to sing live and be so pitch perfect, I think he's just absolutely brilliant. So to work with Paul on that album was a real honour, and very sadly, some years later, after we'd worked with Paul, he took his own life in, I think 2005 it was, and it's very, very sad for his family. And look, I guess just on that note, on a serious note, if anybody is ever feeling that way, or feeling depressed, or feeling sad, just talk about things with people. It's really important that we talk to each other, talk to our family, talk to our friends. And so here I've gone from talking about being silly, and this is the serious me again now, I guess. It is so important that we, as humans, and we have our relationships with friends and family, that we value those relationships, and we value the people around us, and we need to listen to them when they need to talk to us. We need to, not judge people when they talk and speak, which is sometimes really hard, but we just have to do that. Let people get things off their chest, let them be who they are, and try and help them through tough times, which, it's particularly hard, I guess, when you can't relate to what somebody else is experiencing. But I guess through listening to those people and trying to understand where they're coming from, it puts a different spin on things for you and helps you relate to their experience, even though you can't necessarily understand it. So yeah, that's just on a real serious note there, guys. If you do know anybody that seems down, seems a little under the weather, just maybe start the conversation. We have a great initiative here in Australia called Are You OK Day? And it's really just to use that expression, are you okay, as a conversation starter. If you see somebody who looks like they might need a bit of an ear to listen to talk to, just say, are you okay? How are you going? How are you feeling? And just don't undervalue that ability to talk to people and get things off your chest, and make sure that you are okay, and make sure your friends and your family are too. All right, so we'll move on from that now. Thanks for that. Now, HockeyBot 9000 has asked another question, and the question is, hey Greg, what's your least favourite track and field event? Now, I like this one because it's a great question. It's not what's my favourite track and field, it's what's your least favourite track and field event. Look, I don't know, I quite like watching athletics. I think there's a lot of skill involved. I love watching things like the high jump, the hurdles. Least favourite, I don't know, I guess probably one of those ones where they just run around the track for a long time. Is it like the 1600 metres or something like that? It's just, I enjoy sort of watching the start and maybe the finish, but it's kind of all that stuff in between that gets a bit same, just running. And they kind of go fast and then slow and then fast and then slow and then fast. And then what happens sometimes, I find, is that the person at the back just kind of trundles along, keeping up with the back of the field, waits for the person up the front to slow down and get tired, and then that's when they make their move. They go past, and that's how they win the race. But I could be wrong about that because I haven't watched a lot of it, but some of the ones I have watched, it's a lot of fun to see those guys just kind of hang out at the back, and then they put on the pace and they take over and they win. All right, now Lucas Gray has said, I just want to say that I've been a big fan of the Wiggles ever since I was little. I really miss you being with the original Wiggles. So here's my question. What was it like doing the Wiggles reunion show that you did back in 2016? And since it was for people that were over 18, what was it like performing in front of people over 18? Well, it was a lot of fun. I mean, the first one we did, we had no idea what to expect. And it sold out pretty quickly, so we knew there were going to be a lot of people there. And we put in a couple of days of rehearsal, I think, to try and refresh our memories. And for some of us, that was a little bit hard. Actually, it's funny, song lyrics I'm not too bad with, because the songs that we do live, we kind of did fairly often. So I didn't have to do a lot of refreshing on those. But yeah, to walk out on stage and see all those sort of, well, adults, I mean, they are adults, but I still call them kids because you guys of that age are still kids to me because you're young'uns, I'm an old un. And yeah, to see these people who were children 20 years ago at a Wiggles show with beers in hand or other alcoholic beverages, it was quite interesting. And it made for a great night. You guys were a great audience for those of you who were there at the first one, the second one, the third one. I believe there will be some more of those later this year. We've been talking about it, and it should be hopefully September, October, November, in one of those 3 months, or maybe in all of those 3 months. We're going to try and get around to some of the Australian capital cities and do some more shows. So keep your ears open, everybody. If you want to come along and see the Wiggles again, the original Wiggles, at a venue near you where you can have a beer in hand or other alcoholic beverage of your choice, that would be a lot of fun. We will just have water backstage. I will be. I don't know about the other guys, but that's up to them. I guess they're all over 18 too, so they can do what they please. All right, so moving on now to Roblox Angelo. Roblox, that's an interesting game. My children play that game. Hello, Greg, my name is Angelo, and I have some questions. What is your favourite TV show of the Wiggles? Well, I did like Lights, Camera, Action. I think it was called Lights, Camera, Action, or Network Wiggles. I can't really remember. I think it was Lights, Camera, Action Wiggles. I know the song was called that, but that was probably one of my favourites. That was a lot of fun to film. And what is your worst song that you did in the Wiggles? That's all. Okay, again, I don't have a worst song. I had songs that were difficult to perform and songs that were more challenging to perform, but I loved all the songs we did. Actually, there was one song that was really hard to sing, and I think somebody asked this later, so I'll leave this answer till later on. Now this one's from Marsha Newper. I think I've got that right, Marsha. Forgive me if I haven't. Now Marsha's from Livonia in Michigan. And now the question is, who was your favourite Wiggle friend when you were part of the Wiggles? Well, the Wiggles friends were Dorothy, Captain, Wags and Henry. And I did like them all. They were all lots of fun to be around. And they all had their own sort of unique, interesting character traits. And as I said earlier, Captain Feathersword was a lot of fun on stage. He was very unpredictable, very surprising sometimes. So he was always a lot of fun to be around on stage. So I'd say Captain Feathersword was probably my favourite. Now, the next question comes from Wiggles fan. What are your opinions on the Taiwanese Wiggles and Latin American Wiggles? Well, the Taiwanese Wiggles started, I'm guessing around about 2003, 2004, and the Latin American Wiggles started around about 2005, I would say. So by the time I left in 2006, I didn't know much about what they were doing or how they were doing. I think it was great. And I'll never forget the first time we went and saw the Taiwanese Wiggles. Now, if my memory serves me correctly, the Taiwanese Wiggles was originally put together by our friends at Disney back in the day. And they came out to Australia, they did some rehearsal, and they put on a little performance for us at a hotel somewhere in Chatswood here in Sydney. And we went over there and we watched them, and to see our songs being performed in another language with these other people doing our roles. It was so incredible. And I remember we just stood up at the end of it and we gave them a standing ovation because they did a great job. They really did. And I mean, to see something that we had created here in Australia, and we never really had, massive plans for. We never dreamed of it, being sort of so-called franchised into other areas of the world or translated into other languages. So to see that, it really just blew us away, and we were just like, wow, this is really cool. It was funny, but not in a way where we were laughing at them. It was just funny. It was surreal. It was bizarre. But we had a lot of those moments in the Wiggles because you've got to remember, we did not set out to achieve what we achieved. So, I look back on these things and I think, my goodness, we started like in 91 and, we just had no idea what lay ahead of us, and it was just so incredible. So, honestly, thank you all for being a part of what made the Wiggles successful. We loved what we did, and I'm sure the guys still do now. And I obviously still love doing stuff for kids because they're such a great audience. But it's just something that I still got to look back on and think, wow, I was actually a part of that. So thank you to you guys. Thank you to the Wiggles. Thank you to everybody who was a part of making it all work. It was just incredible. So moving on now to, this is Moses. See, I don't have my glasses on, guys, so I am struggling a little bit. Moses Yakub, I think it is. Hey, Greg, I've got 2 questions. What's your favourite Wiggles concert at the Sydney Entertainment Centre? And can you ask the Wiggles to upload any photos of the December 2000 show and December 2005 show? Wow, okay, that's very specific. I'll see if I can get them to do that. I don't know if they'd have any photos of those shows in particular. But as for my favourite show at the Sydney Entertainment Centre, I reckon it would be the live Hot Potatoes one where we had the live band with us. I have spoken about that in the past on 1 or 2 of the other episodes of Greg Page Remembers or Tries to. But yeah, that was so much fun touring with a live band. It was different because it wasn't to the same backing track every day. And yeah, it was just great. So I'd say that was my favourite one at the Sydney Entertainment Centre. Now, moving on to Jack Foster. Now, Jack, you've written a lot of questions. I'm going to try and get to them all. We'll see how we go. But I do think I am only on page 2 of these questions. No, maybe page 3, actually. I am getting through them. No, I'm still only on page 2. Goodness. All right, this is going to take a while. Sorry about this. Okay, so Jack, from Here Comes the Big Red Car, 2006, you and the Wiggles were driving the Big Red Car at Sydney. Yep, we were. And basically you're asking, did anybody recognise the Wiggles in the Big Red Car as we were driving along the streets? So here's the thing. We were in the Big Red Car on the back of a trailer, on a trailer, being towed by a truck. And so it was quite a sight to behold because we had the Wiggles in the Big Red Car, which was strapped down to the trailer, and we had a camera operator and maybe a lighting person also sort of safety harnessed onto the trailer. And yeah, so if you saw this driving down the road, here's the Wiggles sitting in the Big Red Car, and you'll see us waving to people, and there would have been people tooting their horns or honking their horns at us. So yeah, it was funny, but the funny thing was, because I was lip syncing at the time, I couldn't really talk to the guys about what was going on, but they were all kind of talking, trying not to move their lips and that. So it was kind of fun. Driving down one of the freeways here, some of the back roads around the area. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So good question there, Jack. Now, question number 2, do you remember the lyrics to the Wags the Dog song from 1995? Oh me, oh my, he barks all day and night. Do I remember it? Here comes Wags, my dog Wags. He eats so much that his tummy drags, or sags, I can't remember. Oh me, oh my, he barks all day and night. He runs around and digs the ground. He plays with bones and he makes this sound. Oh me, oh my, he barks all day and night. I love Wags so much and I pat his head, but all night long I hear him bark while I'm lying in my bed. I can't sleep, I want to sleep. He'll stop barking if I give him something to eat. Oh me, oh my, he barks all day and night. Then there's the instrumental break, and then it's back into, I think, I love Wags so much and I pat his head all night long. I hear him bark while I'm lying in my bed. And then I think it's back to the first verse. Here comes Wags, my dog Wags. He eats so much that his tummy sags. I don't know. It's something that rhymes with Wags, obviously, drags or sags. Oh me, oh my, he barks all day and night. Wow, okay, so that song, it's funny, right? So I'll remember a lot of lyrics, but I'll forget little ones like that drags or sags. I don't know why that is. Tummy, it's going to bug me now. Oh, gosh. It's so much. And the funny thing is, when we first created the Wags character, it was a two-person character, if you know what I mean, without spoiling any of the magic for people. And it was this long version of Wags. It was like a lounge, a couch. We used to call him the couch. And that didn't last very long because it was very, very impractical. Poor old Wags, because he had the tummy that sags or drags. And this is where I'm getting stuck on the lyric because we designed it so that his tummy did sag or drag. I can't remember which one it was, but obviously that's where the song lyric came from, and the long version of Wags with the tummy that kind of went like that. Anyway, that's kind of beside the point. But anyway, Jack, I hope that answers your question. Can I sing the song? Can I remember the lyrics? Well, I can remember like nearly all of them, I think, unless there's another verse I've missed out on. All right, moving on. We've got Brittany Wanger? I'm not sure. Brittany, I'm sorry about that. Anyway, I loved watching The Wiggles when I was 5 from New Zealand. Hey, I just wanted to say I've always loved every song you sing on The Wiggles. My favourite was Toot Toot Chugga Chugga Big Red Car. Yeah, I like that one too. And Can You Point Your Fingers and Do the Twist? I've been seeing those recently, lately. Okay, so I've got some questions. All right. What was your favourite personal song you liked to sing during your time on the show? Many favourites. Okay, so I liked Monkey Dance, Can You Point Your Fingers and Do the Twist, Hot Potato, Rockabye Ya Bear, all those really sort of interactive songs, the sort of action-based songs. I love those. They were a lot of fun. And I did like the challenging songs like Monkey Dance, when you do them live, things where you got to jump and sing at the same time. It was always a challenge, and I'd look forward to that. So that's one answer there. Now, the next question, what's your favourite place you like to go to during your Wiggles journey? Wow. New York was always a lot of fun to hang out in. I liked LA as well. New Orleans, San Antonio was a pretty town to visit. We went to a lot of places. We were very, very lucky. We got to see a lot of different things. Where else did I like? There's so many places and towns I've been to, I can't really think. But those 5, or however many I just rattled off then, they're the ones that come to mind. So they're probably my favourites, I must say. Now, why did you leave the show for the next generations of Wiggles? Okay, so there's been a few people ask this question. So in 2006, I was unwell. I got sick and I had to leave. I couldn't go on doing the Wiggles shows because I didn't know what was wrong with me at the time. So that's when I left. I totally left the group. I was not going to be in it ever again, as far as I was aware. Then in 2011, I was told that Sam was leaving the group and the Wiggles wanted me to come back for 7 months. It was from January to August to help transition from Sam to a new yellow Wiggle, who at that stage was going to be Simon. So I said, yep, okay, I'll come back and join the Wiggles for that period of time to help you transition, and that's what I did. But in that time, Murray and Jeff decided that they didn't want to go on being in the Wiggles anymore, like in terms of performing with the Wiggles. So they decided they'd retire at the end of 2012. So January 2012 came around, I rejoined the group. I was due to finish in August, but around about May, I think it was, Murray and Jeff made that decision to retire at the end of that year. So they asked me if I would stay on for the rest of that year so that we could all retire together. Well, so I was never back in permanently with the Wiggles. It was only for part of 2012, but then it became the whole of 2012. So a lot of people say, why did you join again only to leave? Well, this is one thing that was never really made clear at the time. I was never back in permanently. I was only in to help transition. So there was a lot of miscommunication around that whole scenario. Lots and lots of miscommunication, lots of misreporting. A whole lot of stuff went down. A lot of it wasn't correct. And, there's always 2 or 3 different sides to a story. my story is this. I was asked to go back to help transition from Sam to another yellow wiggle. I was there from January to August. Then Murray and Jeff decided to retire at the end of 2012, so they asked me to stay on till then. I stayed on till then, and that was it. That's why I seemingly joined again and then left. So that's it. Okay, welcome back everybody. Now moving on to questions from, I think it's Bluewin3UV. I hope I've read that correctly. It's Sam anyway. Age 20 from Sydney. Now, there's a bit of stuff there at the start there about his cousin had Murray as her teacher back in the 90s. That's probably right. Now, the questions are, who came up with the ideas for the coloured shirts? Okay, so between our first CD or cassette tape back then in 1991 and our second one, we decided to change our look. We wanted to make ourselves look a bit different, so we came up with the idea. Who specifically had that idea? I don't remember. I think I could be wrong, but it could be Murray or Anthony that had that idea. So I can't take credit for that one, but one of those guys did. Next question, were you popular and one of the cool kids during high school and impressed some girls? No, that was not me. I was not popular. I was not cool, and I didn't impress many girls at all, I'm afraid. So I guess that's one of the things as you go through life, you find, I don't know, I guess the big lesson here is that just be comfortable with who you are. Don't worry about trying to impress people. You will impress people by being you, all right? And the people that you don't impress don't matter, all right? Just be who you are. Don't try to impress people. Just be comfortable with who you are growing up. And it's one of those things, you hear about these people wanting to write letters to their teenage self. It's funny, I've thought about this lately. I thought, gee, if I wrote a letter to myself as a teenager, the things I'd be saying would be quite incredible. And maybe that's a sign of getting old, feeling that you've got to write a letter to your teenage self. But if I can impart any pearls of wisdom to any young people out there that might be listening to this and might want to take a bit of advice from somebody, just be who you are. Be happy with who you are. Don't try to impress people. If people don't like who you are, that's their problem, not yours. All right? So I think in life, we just need to accept people for who they are, not question them, not try to mold them into somebody they're not try to shape them, not try to change their ideas, change their thoughts. I think if we can all just get on with each other, that's all we should hope for in life, and not wish people harm, not wish people ill, not be nasty to people. That's not what's going to make this world a better place. What's going to make this world a better place is just accepting people for who they are and not making fun of them, not trying to make them feel lesser so that you feel greater. Oh, that's the classic thing with bullies, isn't it? They try to make other people feel worse because they're not feeling good themselves about who they are. But if people could just be happy with who they are, they wouldn't feel the need to put other people down. I think, look, I don't want to get into a deep D&M on this, but I think just, looking back at my life, I felt as a teenager, I did feel kind of out of place. I didn't feel cool. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be liked. But now, as an old guy, you look back and you think, what does it matter? It doesn't matter if people don't like you. That doesn't resonate with people growing up trying to find themselves. But just try to be happy with who you are. Don't change who you are. Don't let other people's judgment of you affect you. As long as you love yourself, and I guess this is some of my childhood learnings and some of my philosophical teachings coming through now. You've got to love yourself first before you can love other people, before they will love you as well. So make sure that you are happy with who you are, and that's probably the key to getting through life, and letting things brush off your back. Doesn't mean you don't pay attention to what other people might say. It doesn't mean you're above healthy criticism, let me say, but because everybody needs to listen to what other people have to say about them, but it's not to the point where you let it affect you. If something somebody says to you resonates with you and you think, yeah, okay, they're probably right about that, then yeah, sure, change. But don't change because people make fun of you for who you are and the way that you think about things. I think if people are doing that, then it's more a problem with them than it is with you. Anyway, We'll get out of the D&M mode now. Tell us more about the story of Philip Wiltshire and what colour shirt he would have worn if he stayed. Well, I don't know what colour shirt he would have worn if he stayed. I think he had the polka dot shirt on the first CD. But anyway, look, there's not much to the story about Philip Wiltshire, to be honest. He didn't feel comfortable performing with the Wiggles, so he left before the first CD even came out. So, yeah, I haven't spoken to Philip for crikey. It'd be, well, 26 years or so, I guess. He did do the first video of Get Ready to Wiggle with the Wiggles, and then he did, I think it was Dorothy the Dinosaur. And yeah, so that was before we changed the shirt. So I don't know what colour he would have worn if he had have continued on. Next question. Why was Hoot the Owl scrapped? Well, you've got me on that one, because I don't know Hoot the Owl. So this could be something that I've either missed or I'm not remembering. So I can't help you with that one. I'm sorry there, Sam. Maybe if you post a comment giving me a bit more information about Hoot the Owl, I might jog my memory on that. All right, moving on to Kyle Lindsay 100, I think it is. Yeah, Kyle Lindsay 100. In 2000, what is it like touring with Barney, BJ and Baby Bop? Yeah, Barney's Musical Castle. Barney's Musical Castle was an amazing experience for the Wiggles because it kind of really gave the Wiggles their big break into the US. We did, we were the intermission act for Barney's Musical Castle, and we had a lot of fun. I mean, it was an interesting tour because we were doing in-store appearances during the daytime, and then we'd go and do the intermission at the Barney shows. But yeah, it was great. That's where we met our good friends at Lyric, and we made some great friends there in Sloan and Denise and people that stayed with us for a whole length of time. Yeah, we made some really good friends there in the Lyric organisation, or it was Lyric, then it became Hit, and even now some of these people are still working in the industry. Debbie is still out there doing stuff with PBS. So yeah, it was great. We made a lot of good friends. We kept a lot of crew from the Barney show. So once Barney stopped touring and we started touring, we had people like Harold working with us. Sloan I already mentioned, but yeah, we made a lot of good friends. So lots of fond memories about Barney. Now moving on to the Nintendo Gamer. Have you seen the Wiggles Duets DVD? Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. If that is one that I was on called It's a Wiggly Wiggly World, then yes, I have seen that. But if it's something that the Wiggles have done since I left, and they may have done a Wiggles Duets DVD, I'm not sure, because I know they've done a few things with people since I left the group, but no, I haven't seen that, if that's what you're talking about. But the first one, It's a Wiggly Wiggly World, with Kamal, Slim Dusty. Who else was on that with us? Christine Arnoux, Tim Finn. They're the ones that come to mind at the moment. But yeah, I remember that one, and that was a lot of fun to make because it was probably, I think it was our first experience of working with other artists, and then we went on to work with John Fogerty after that. We did Sanders Rockin' with him and Greg Brady. So Barry Williams, I've spoken a bit about that in past episodes of Greg Page Remembers or Tries to. Now, unfortunately, that's all the time I've got today for answering questions. I'm going to put some more up as we go. I'm going to record the answers for them. There's lots and lots of answers to get through. There's heaps of them. So in the meantime, everybody, I want to thank you for tuning in to Greg Page Remembers or Tries to, and stay tuned because there will be another episode coming up very, very soon. Bye, friends.